Hello, my name is Nat, and welcome to the first episode of Am I a Mess? A kind of podcast diary I'm going to try and do weekly, hopefully, maybe, if I can stick to it, but that's the plan anyway. The idea is to leave my thoughts and questions and qualms that I have with parts of my life now, and maybe those around me, to a future me who hopefully has grown past my current worries and issues, or other future people that perhaps don't have to worry about these things anymore for whatever reason. Or maybe things are worse. Hopefully not. But looking at the way things are going with the planet, maybe that's a possibility. But anyway, that being said, I don't want this to just be like pessimistic or, total nihilism. I am going to be talking about negative parts of life and things my brain is struggling to work out, but I also want to touch on the hope that comes with a lot of these things, if that makes sense, because of the concept of like a future me listening back, knowing they've grown or learnt more since being me now recording this. Following that, I think even if the topics are quite gloomy or depressing, I want there to be a silver lining, or something that comes with that these things may no longer be a problem for me. So I hope that makes sense. It's a bit all over the place, which leads me on to my podcasting ability, which is, I've got no experience. I've never really done anything like this before, so it could be a bit rubbish to begin with, or maybe forever. But no, hopefully it improves and flows better, maybe as I record more episodes. I am using kind of a script. It's not like word for word, like notes to guide me, because I do tend to go off on tangents in, day-to-day conversation. My people around me know that. But I do want to have some authenticity, especially if I'm treating this as a diary for my future self, which is kind of the plan. Which that's sort of the slogan for the show, actually. A diary to my future self, or for my future self. But back on topic of my qualifications to do this, I don't have any, but I've done some like live streams, which is the closest thing to this, which isn't completely talking to yourself. You've got a few people in chat to bounce off and basically give me prompts to talk about or to make jokes about. This feels, and the script bit says this feels ... So I'm trying to tell myself to give it a genuine feeling here about how it feels. It actually feels all right. I'm very excited to do this, and I've been thinking about it nonstop for the past couple of days. So I'm happy to be actually doing it now and sitting down and getting to it. I've been putting it off, to be honest. But I think I just need to do it, and following the sentiment of it's not going to be great to begin with, but maybe it'll get better. I think that just goes for anything, doesn't it? So I've been a bit vague about the topics I'll discuss. I know I said that they'll be like negative. They're not all going to be like that. But I think I want to just talk about the things that are on my mind. Anyway, truthfully, I haven't really planned it all out yet. But over the last 24 hours, I have come up with some ideas. But I think I'll just take an idea each week and gather some thoughts about it, maybe some stories, and then bring it here into the booth or my tiny office room to talk about, along with anything else that comes to mind from recent events that have happened, I was about to ask if that's okay, but ultimately it's up to me. So if this is to a future me, then it's not like you can reply anyway. Or can you? But to rattle off a few ideas, without giving too much away, because there isn't much to give away. Some of the things I'm likely to talk about are anxiety, agoraphobia, mental health in general. It's probably a common subject on these kinds of things. Purpose and belonging, and trying to find those things. Perhaps some about being a creative, or like imposter syndrome, which I'm sure people are familiar with. I'd like to do an episode about the effects of the patriarchy, but I want to make sure that I do this in the right way. So you're not just listening to some guy moan about not being able to cry for an hour. Obviously, there's an issue there, but there's a lot more nuance and other perspectives that I think are vital to include in that discussion. I will get there at some point, though. I just need to get some help, I think. I suppose that's a good segue into the idea of having guests on the show, which is something I'm interested in, perhaps. If anyone wants to do it, of course. Probably be a freebie. That might be something I look at a little later down the line. I have had a couple of ideas since initially planning this along the line of guests, maybe family members. I think I'd like to dedicate episodes to like specific things. And I know that's kind of obvious, but say if I had like a family member on, it would be like an interview format where I ask them questions that I've drafted about their life or things that maybe to do with their relationship with me and stuff, like things that would be interesting to leave to a future me to listen back to, especially when it comes to family members and stuff. The idea being that I can have these discussions with people who are involved in my life in some way, or even that can just offer better insight into topics than I can, which I'm sure is a lot of people. But I think that could be fun. So we'll see what happens with that. So just to clarify a bit about the show and what I hope it to be, and hopefully move into some sort of discussion, I want to make it clear that this isn't like a self-help podcast for people listening. I'm not qualified to give you any advice or tell you how to live your life, for that matter. This is a bit more of a selfish outlet than that, and I don't mean selfish in a scolding way towards myself, because that's often the only context associated with that word, selfish. It's selfish in the sense that it's a kind of personal therapy for myself. I have a need to constantly create things, and I have many thoughts and worries, and I want to put that somewhere. And I think it's a nice idea to leave myself a diary of how I used to feel to an older me to look back on. To comment on like self-help figures, I think they can be selfish too. I'm not like, shitting on genuine people who offer advice based on psychology or specialist experience or whatever, like unique experiences that are valid. But there are so many just like dudes or people that provide self-help advice who are in no position to do so. And actually, there are also people who believe they are in positions to do so, or traditionally are. Which makes it a bit harder to distinguish, I guess. But back to the selfish thing, a good amount of these people are trying to sell you a book or God forbid, a course, self-help behind a paywall, the secret to a happy life behind a 30-hour online course, or the secret to getting rich behind a paywall. Sorry to go off a bit here, but, if there's anyone listening to this other than me, and I'm breaking the rules here. I'm giving you advice. That didn't last long. I said this, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Anyway, but just be wary of self-help figures, especially if they're selling you a course that leads you exactly where you feel you need to be. Just use a bit of critical thinking and identify people who are exploiting the desperation of groups of people. Anyway, that's enough of that. Although I'm thinking that I may have to do an episode now on online figures or the possible dangers associated with them. Another topic I'm looking to cover is like technology, social media, and the internet, and how that's changed over the years. God, I sound old, but honestly, I think it's a good one, because it's something that's going to constantly change over time. The way we communicate, how much we share online, my attachment to social media, and my phone. How I feel like it's affecting my brain. None of this is very groundbreaking stuff, I know, but I think it's an interesting discussion for future me to see either how bad things were or maybe how good we've got it compared to them now. I have an odd relationship with the internet and social media. I love it. I love the amount I can learn and kind of soak up, but then I hate the constant pull to it. It's like the dark side. As a person, I enjoy peace and quiet, right? And a lot. I like sitting in a quiet room and switching off, but I also love listening to music and playing games, and I get sucked into scrolling through 10-second videos that, I'm sure give my brain constant instant dopamine hits. And then you realize you've been sat there for an hour and, you can't remember half of what you watched anyway. And I know a few friends also struggle with this quite a bit. It can waste a lot of people's time. It does make you wonder how bad it is for, like, the kids too. The kids. I do have worries about the effects of being on social media for all day. A lot of us, probably because I am. I anxiety scroll, or like anxiously scroll. If anyone else an anxious scroller, waiting for the train, I flick through 4 different social media apps just to see what's going on the toilet. The same, it's kind of gross. Oh, and there's the text anxiety. This is a good one. I get kind of a sick feeling when I get a text. That's really strange. It's like I have to know who it's from or what it is. It's very weird. Maybe I am a freak, but maybe it's just like a subconscious worry that it's bad news or someone telling me off for some imaginary scenario I've created in that split second. That's a bit mad. I'm starting to think that this will just end up being me exposing myself as a weirdo who panics over texts and is addicted to social media in some capacity. I'm sure people do relate. And you know what? It might actually be way worse in the future. It might be your brain just directly wired in, so you don't even know what's real or not. It's like in Futurama where Fry gets the underpants advert in his dreams, and then he has to go buy them. If you haven't watched Futurama, you really should. No, I'm giving advice again. But, okay, future me, if you've forgotten about Futurama, give it a watch. You should have all the seasons on DVD. You do, if you've kept them. If you can't stream them directly into your brain by now, who knows? It might all be better in the future. We might have all disconnected from socials. Probably not, but we can dream. So, moving away from a couple of topics that I might want to touch on, I thought it might be a fun idea to take a personality test, as this is kind of the first introduction to me on this show. So, if you bear with me, I'm just going to go through... I think I'm going to take you through each question to just go through it with me. So we're doing it together, and you get to see what I'm like now. And I know that, I'm going to treat it as just a bit of fun, really, but I think it'll be interesting. Let's just see what this random website thinks of me. Okay, so the first question. It's not really a question. It makes a statement and asks me how much I agree or disagree with it on a scale of 1 to 7, with a middle being a neutral. So the first statement is you regularly make new friends, which I don't regularly make new friends. However, I'm not opposed to it, and I'm happy to meet new people. So I'm going to go slightly disagree on that one. You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. Yes, I do that. I'm going to strongly agree that one because I do scroll through articles quite often or watch videos about things that I'm not even particularly interested in my regular life, but for some reason I take a fancy in. There's a chap on TikTok that is like a woodworker, a carpenter, and he restores axes and things and makes handles out of wood, and I find it fascinating. It's totally out of my world, but yes. Seeing other people cry can easily make you feel like you want to cry too. Yes. I do feel this. It's not often you see people cry in real life, I guess, so in day-to-day life. But for example, in a good movie or a good show, if someone starts crying, sometimes it sets me off a bit too. So I'm gonna middle agree on that one. You often make a backup plan for a backup plan. Yeah, I worry about things, and when you worry about things, it means you plan for the outcomes that you're worried about, which is often loads, and it's often got sub tiers of. I mean, if you're an overthinker, you might relate to this in the sense that, if this happens, I need to be able to deal with it. So I'm gonna mostly agree with that one. You usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure. I've always found this quite a difficult question in other questionnaires in the past because I, by nature, am quite a lax guy. I'm quite chill and I'm not too fussed about things. However, I do also have anxiety, so I do freak out sometimes about things, and not maybe it's not like big and explosive, but it can be internal. So whether I stay calm or not is quite difficult to say. I can stay calm under pressure. It's possible for me to be composed under pressure, but then also I can reach a breaking point. So I think I'm just gonna have to put this bang in the middle because I'm quite. It's either or for me. At social events, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Um, I do like who I already like. Like, I have the people I'm comfortable with and I know accept me and all that stuff, but I'm not opposed to meeting new people. So, and I don't go to many social events, to be quite honest. I wonder if that's changed. So I'm gonna do like a soft agree on that one because I don't make it a. It's not like a plan for me to go out and meet new people and like make new friends or whatever. But I'm not opposed to chatting to people while I'm out. It's nice to socialize. So soft agree. Next page. You prefer to completely finish one project before starting another. Well, no, I am horrendous at this, and if there's anything that I would have liked to have worked, I mean, there's probably a lot of things. If there's anything I would like to have improved on in the future, it's my ability to finish projects. Because it's not that I'm too lazy to finish things or I don't want to finish things, but I really struggle to finish projects. There's so many songs that I've started to write and started to record that are unfinished. I've got a concept for like an animated TV show which I've started to write and draw, but it's not finished. Obviously that takes forever, but it's an idea that I go to and I kind of obsess over for a while, and then I kind of forget about while I do something else that I'm working on a game, and I've got another game idea with one of my friends which I'm meant to be working on. And I just really struggle. I really struggle to commit to one thing because I'm reminded of something else that I do, and I get excited about something else that I do, and I switch to that. It's not always the worst thing because it means I kind of have a steady cycle between different projects, and it means that my other things aren't neglected. I'll obsess over music for 2 weeks, and then I'll remember that I'm making a game, and I'll obsess over making artwork for that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, and then move on to something else. And eventually I get round to the thing I was on originally. But yeah, I mean, it's not like I've never finished a project. I've finished things. I've finished songs. You know, so I'm gonna. I'm gonna nearly completely You prefer to completely finish one project before? I mean, I would prefer to, but I'm impossible. So I'm gonna do a strong disagree. You are very sentimental. I'm gonna Google the meaning of sentimental because what I'm aware of sentimentality is like sentimental value means like something means something to you. But okay, adjective. Of or prompted by feelings of tenderness, sadness, or nostalgia. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, certainly. I think there's like there's a lot of romanticization of like sentimental feelings and things, but I think it's a very human thing to feel, and I certainly do. I am prompted by those feelings, so I'm going to strongly agree on that one. You like to use organizing tools like schedules and lists. I used to not be organized. I used to be a bit of a mess. But nowadays I make lists on my phone constantly of things that I need to remember, and I also always make like diary notes on my phone with reminders to things, so to give me a bit of preparation time because I sometimes forget about things happening. So I'm gonna like soft agree on that one because it is, I do use that in day-to-day life. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. Um, yeah. I mean, this moves on to something I mentioned earlier, which is imposter syndrome, where you think, you don't deserve the position you're in or the praise that you get or whatever. A small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. This is a tricky one for me because I'm a bit like bang in the middle where like I sometimes think I'm rubbish at stuff, but other times I think I'm like really it sounds really bad, but sometimes I think I'm really good at things. I'm gonna have to put this bang in the middle as well. And I forgot to say, if you're not me, or sorry, I've ruined this all really. I think future me should be answering these questions again. And if you're someone else's listening, I think you should be doing it too, just if you want to. So that's me saying, play along if you want. I should have said that at the start. The next one is you feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. No, I don't think so. I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would look at someone and go, "Oh, you're interesting. I'm going to go talk to you." And that's not me saying I'm not incapable of doing that, but I just think people don't want to be approached and questioned most of the time. There's a time and a place, isn't there? Right? I think if you're at like a party, perhaps, and like people are, the point is a social. You're meant to get to know people. Then fair enough, you strike up a conversation, but like you feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting. I don't think it works in any context. So I'm gonna like soft disagree, but I'm comfortable doing that in the right setting. This is quite long. I've just realised. We'll try and speed up. You are more inclined to follow your head than your heart. That's a tricky one. I'm gonna like soft agree because I do tend to be a bit of a logic user, but then I also do listen to my feelings too. Usually prefer just doing what you feel like at any given moment instead of planning a particular daily routine. This one's really difficult for me as well because sometimes I can go with the flow and I do what I feel, but other times I do need a structure. And if someone else is giving me a plan, I need to know about it in advance because otherwise I'm like, I think I need to mentally prepare to do things. So I'm gonna like soft disagree. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people you meet. Rarely worry. No, I do worry about that. I think I worry not as much anymore, but I certainly used to worry a lot about people thinking I was a loser or not cool. I think that's the thing, and I think a lot of people worry about people thinking they're not cool, but they just don't say it because it looks like you're not cool if you say something like that. So, and that is kind of it's a bit of a teenager mentality, but I think it does carry it through into like young adulthood a little bit. But then you do have spurs of like not caring what anyone thinks of you. So I'm going to soft disagree because I sometimes do worry about this kind of thing, but not all the time. You enjoy participating in group activities. I'm going to soft agree because I do enjoy it, but I don't do it very often. You like books and movies that make you come up with your own interpretation of the ending. Yes and no. Oh, there's an ice cream van going past. I don't know if you can hear it, but that coming through? It's very loud. I don't know why it's bloody February. I hope it's an ice cream van, otherwise it's very strange behaviour coming from out the window there. Anyway, you like books and movies you like books and movies that make you come up with your own interpretation of the ending. I do, but I also like a well-rounded ending that is nicely packaged, which is quite difficult to do, I think. I'm going to put that bang in the middle. Your happiness comes more from helping others accomplish things than your own accomplishments. This one's hard because I do like other people to be happy. It makes me happy to see other people happy. However, I think that comes along with like being someone who creates things. There's a great deal of weight on your own accomplishments, as whether you're like an artist or whatever. That is where your happiness comes from sometimes. So I'm gonna like soft disagree because I think it may be selfish, but there's a great deal of happiness that comes from my own accomplishments that I feel like I'm chasing, which we might go into that on another episode a bit deeper. You're interested in so many things that you find it difficult to choose what to try next. Kind of. Like I said, I have like various creative interests that I bounce between. I'm going to soft agree because it's not quite the same. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. Yes, I definitely am. Although I'm also, like I said, quite lax about things. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll deal with it, or I like, it is what it is, right? But I do worry. So it's the worry part I need to focus on there. I'll do a fair agree, like a middle agree. You avoid leadership roles in group settings. I don't think I avoid it. I think I like give other people a chance to step up to that, whatever that means. Anyway, I don't know how much people lead group settings other than like saying like, oh, should we go to a different pub, or oh, what game should we play, or what? Do you know what I mean? So I'll just put that in the middle. Not too fussed. You are definitely not an artistic type of person. I'll strongly disagree. I do all sorts of things like that. You think the world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings. I'm going to soft disagree there because I do disagree. I don't think people should rely less on their feelings. I think how you feel is like quite an accurate gauge of something that's happened. Obviously, there are times where your feelings can deceive you or not be on your side, but I think if we looked at everything through perfect black and white rationality, the world would be a very dull and horrible place. So I'm going to soft disagree that one. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. I'm going to soft disagree that because I sometimes can be a little lazy and I want to just relax. But I do often use like the trick on myself of like, if you just get it done first, then you can relax. So sometimes I do just get on with it before I relax. Next one, you enjoy watching people argue. No, I don't enjoy watching people argue. It makes me kind of cringe, and yeah, it makes me a bit uncomfortable. And I'd rather people get along, to be honest. So I'm going to mid disagree. You tend to avoid drawing attention to yourself. I would. This is interesting because I do. Like in day-to-day life, I definitely avoid drawing attention to myself. I would rather put my headphones in and go under the radar if I'm out in the world, right? However, I do, by definition, draw attention to myself in the sense that I make music and I like try and promote it and I like make videos of myself and I've like live streamed in the past. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite there. So I'm going to have to go dead in the middle for that one. Your mood can change very quickly. This one's a tricky one as well because I don't think it can. But then I've got a bias because I mean we all have a bias towards ourselves thinking we're all fine. But no, I think I don't know. Most of the time I'm all right, but then I do have a day, like I'll have a random day. The other day I had a bit of a down day and it happens very suddenly. So I'm going to like soft agree on that one. You lose patience with people who are not as efficient as you. Yes, this is probably my, what people say, toxic trait is. I do tend to like, if someone's doing something that is, it's annoying because I am a patient person. I am patient with people. Sometimes it does make me lose my patience, but it's more internal. It's more like, oh God, no, do it this way. But it's fine. So I'm going to mid agree on that one. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. Yeah, I'm going to mid agree on this one because even though I do take steps to avoid a last minute rush, I often end up rushing. So yeah, mid agree. You have always been fascinated by the question of what, if anything, happens after death. Yeah, I have actually. And I think a lot of people share this. I think it's just like, it's the ultimate unknown, isn't it? That no one can know because you're dead. You know what I mean? So I'm going to strongly agree on that one. You usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. No, it's tricky. I like alone time. I like sitting on my own in the quiet. And not like in a reclusive way necessarily. The ice cream van's back, by the way. If you hear that. No, not. Oh, yeah. Usually, I do prefer to be on my own, but then I do like seeing my mates, and I do like hanging out with people. So, like playing games with people, stuff like that. So, I'm gonna. I'm going to slightly disagree. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. That's a tricky one because I do like theoretical discussions, I guess, like just pushing the boat out. But then also, if you're having a proper discussion about something and someone pulls out like a complete theoretical thing, like a baseless idea to like make a stupid point, and that's quite vague, but like I don't like when people do that. It's a bit I don't know, like a really bad straw man analogy. Do you know what I mean? Just there's no point. So I would say like soft degree. You find it easy to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. That's a tricky one because I would like to think I am an empathetic person, and that can be seen as a red flag for some. But no, I do believe I am. But if someone's experiences are very different from mine, sometimes it's difficult to understand a point of view. So that is a tricky one. But I'm gonna empathize. Yeah, I'm gonna mid agree because I do think I can empathize. Yeah. Usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. Yeah, I do that. Yeah. I'm not good at making decisions often. I don't want to like let people down. That's another trait that I've got that's not great. Is I'm worried about letting people down, or like more worried about someone's reaction to me wanting to do something a certain way, maybe. So yeah, I'm gonna mid agree to that. You rarely second guess the choices that you have made. Rarely second guess. I'm gonna have to put that in the middle. That's such a difficult one. I'm quite confident in my choices, but I probably have definitely second guessed them. So go in the middle. After a long and exhausting week, a lively social event is just what you need. No, definitely not. I do enjoy seeing my friends and going out. Like I like to go for a pint or something. Or recently we've been playing board games, me and my friends, which I've really liked. But a lively social event is not what I need after a long, exhausting week. It's probably the last thing. I kind of just want to chill, to be honest. First and foremost, I want to chill. I can have a social event after I've chilled. You know, I need to recharge a bit first. So I'm gonna strong disagree. You enjoy going to art museums. I like art, but I don't particularly enjoy going to art museums, so I'm gonna mid disagree. Sorry. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. I'm going to mid disagree because I don't think there's not been many situations where I have a hard time understanding people's feelings. I can disagree with people as well and still understand their feelings. You like to have a to-do list for each day. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I'm gonna like soft agree. You rarely feel insecure. No, I do sometimes. Not all the time, but occasionally. So rarely. I'm gonna soft disagree because it's not quite rare. It's occasional. If that's a bit pedantic, but you avoid making phone calls. I'm gonna very soft agree because I do avoid making phone calls, but I'm also happy to do it. It doesn't bother me that much. I can talk to people on the phone. You often spend a lot of time trying to understand views that are very different from your own. I don't spend too much time trying to understand views that are very different from my own, but I don't like not give them a light of day. I'm just going to put it in the middle because I don't spend a lot of time doing it. In your social circle, you are often the one who contacts your friends and initiates activities. No. I go a little bit off the grid, like not like massively, but I'm not really the one who brings everyone together. So I'm going to mid disagree. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. That's a tricky one. It depends what it is. Yeah, let's just put it in the middle. Not sure. You are still bothered by mistakes that you made a long time ago. Yeah, I think we all are. I think, especially if it's something stupid or like something that doesn't represent the way you are now, I think, yeah, bothered. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna like strong agree that because I think most people are bothered by mistakes. I mean, I know some people have the attitude of like, you know, forgive yourself and move on, which is important. You do need to forgive yourself for mistakes you make, but that doesn't mean you can't be bothered by them still. And then that makes it makes you not do them again if you're bothered by them. I think that's a good thing. You rarely contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. Yeah, I do. I do that. And it's just it's just like an infinite rabbit hole. It is a bit of a pointless. I mean, not like it's not completely pointless because if you get something out of it, that's good. But it's like you don't get anywhere thinking about it, so it's a bit. It does take a lot of thinking, but no, I don't rarely. I'm going to strongly disagree because I do think about that kind of stuff. I don't get anywhere. I haven't got the answer yet, guys, but maybe I will. And I do want to do. I do want to do like an episode about the meaning of life or whatever. And I think I need to get some reading together, some bullet points and stuff. But I think that's a really good discussion because it is seen as something that like humanity is like searching for, and then also individually, I think everyone has this thought of like your meaning, not like maybe of life. Human existence, the meaning of life is seen as like why we're here, how we're here. But I think like individually, we do think about a personal meaning, a personal purpose. So that is something I do want to talk about because I think it's a good conversation. Okay, next one. Your emotions control you more than you control them. Yeah, I think I'm going to soft agree that because I think that's the case for a lot of people. I think our emotions do control us, and I don't necessarily mean our like actions, but I just mean like it's difficult to not feel things. So yeah, soft agree. You take great care not to make people look bad, even when it's completely their fault. Well, I don't know. I'm not in many situations like that. But I don't like to. I don't like to make people look. I think if someone is making a fool of themselves, they already look bad. So I'm gonna slightly agree because I don't think I ever really try and make people look bad. There's only been like a handful of instances where I think I've like purposely exposed someone for doing something bad. You know, I think for the most part, like I said, if someone's acting a fool, that they already look bad, you know. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent efforts. Yeah, definitely. That's actually a very good way of putting it. And that's not good for my CV, I don't think. But yeah, I do have spontaneous bursts of energy and then periods of like not feeling too engaged, which is not great, but we move. Strong agree, by the way. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take for them to feel disappointed in you. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's a fine worry. I mean, maybe I keep saying like this is a normal thing to worry about, but I don't think it is. I think this is just anxious people. So, yeah, I don't worry about that too much. I'm going to put that in the middle. I probably have had that worry. Like, what if someone becomes disengaged, disappointed in me? I'll put it in the middle. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. That's tricky because I do like spending time on my own, but would I just feel too isolated? I wouldn't love it, so I'm going to soft disagree. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time? No, I don't think it is. I think it helps us explore like our own thoughts about everything, you know? Like I think pondering something based on your own experiences and thoughts is like quite a valuable exercise. You know, don't spend too long doing it. You might get freaked out, but it's not a waste of time. I'm going to fairly disagree. You feel more drawn to places with busy, bustling atmospheres than quiet, intimate places. I'm going to soft disagree because I don't like rammed, absolutely crazy atmospheres. Sometimes I do. You know, if you go to like a rock concert or something, then obviously it's going to be a bit bustling. You know, it just is what it is. But I think I do prefer like a quiet, intimate place. Yeah. You know at first glance how someone is feeling. Sometimes I'm going to soft agree. Sometimes I do. I've had a couple of instances where I've known that someone is going through something without them telling me, and then being like, "What's wrong?" and then being like, "How did you know?" So yeah, there we go. I've got a bit of a knack for that. You often feel overwhelmed. Yeah. The place I'm at right now, and I think like a lot of young adults, you know, between the age of 21 to 25, do feel a bit overwhelmed because you're not. I saw someone describe this. I may talk about this again in more in depth. Someone on TikTok described this as you're like a baby adult, right? So let's say when you're 18, you become an adult. When you're like 23, 24, I'm 24 right now, you've not been an adult for very long. And you are, you've got to look after yourself. You're out there. You may be living alone. You're working a job. You're paying bills. And you've got total responsibility over yourself. And sometimes over, like, maybe like a child or like your partner, right? So, yeah, I think it's easy to be overwhelmed with life and everything it throws at you. So yeah, I'm gonna mid agree that I often feel overwhelmed. I'm okay. I'm just being honest. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. No. I'm gonna have to slightly disagree on that one because I do skip over steps if I can, because I want to get to the end. A bit like this quiz. You are very intrigued by things labelled as controversial. It depends what it is, to be honest. If it's something that's like, obviously nothing like horrendous, but like I'm interested in true crime, like a lot of other people. So I'm intrigued. Is that controversial? The themes discussed in true crime are controversial. So I'm intrigued about learning about these people. I don't know why we are. There's a curiosity there, but I'm gonna soft agree because I am, but that's a bit of a strange. It's a bit of a difficult question because some controversial things are like, a bit out there, but some controversial things are like horrendous. So I'm gonna soft agree. You would pass along a good opportunity if you thought someone else needed it more. I mean, if someone else needed it like desperately, then yeah, I probably would. But it depends what it is, doesn't it? I would like to think so. I think, yeah, I'm gonna soft agree. You struggle with deadlines. Kind of. I can work to deadlines because I have done. I've been to school, I've been to college, and I've been to uni. So I met all my deadlines. I didn't really struggle. So actually, I'm going to put that in the middle because I don't think I actually do. I think it often depends also who else you're working with. If you're working on your own, I think it's easier to manage a deadline. If you're working with other people, you've got to rely on other people, which sometimes you can't, to do things. So you feel confident that things will work out for you. Oh, that's a deep one because that's something that I want to talk about here as well because it's like the hope of like what does work out mean? Because we often all say that it'll work itself out, and I say that all the time, and I think there's a part of me that genuinely believes that everything will work itself out, but I don't know if it will. Like, you don't know if it will, and things might get. I'm not trying to put anyone down, but things might get worse before they work themselves. Like, it's tricky, isn't it? So, am I confident that things will work out? I don't know if I'm confident, but I am hopeful. There's a difference there, I think. I'm hopeful that things will work out, but I don't know if I'm confident. I'm gonna soft agree because I think it's a nice thought, and then I can optionally put my gender in, which apparently only determines the avatar I get on the results. Okay, the results are in. That took a long time, so apologies about that. Okay, my personality type is mediator. INFPT is what it's described as on this personality test. So here's a bit about me. Mediators are poetic, kind, and I don't know how to say that word. Altruistic. Mediators are poetic, kind, and altruistic people, always eager to help a good cause. Oh God, it sounds like I'm just bigging myself up now. I'm sure there's some negatives. I hope there is to balance it out a bit. Apparently, my mind is 65% introverted. That sounds about right. Introverted individuals tend to prefer fewer, yet deep and meaningful social interactions and often feel drawn to calmer environments. I would agree. 58% intuitive. Intuitive individuals are very imaginative, open-minded, and curious. They value originality and focus on hidden meanings and distant possibilities. Wow. This is actually quite accurate. I quite like this. 63% feeling versus thinking. Feeling individuals value emotional expression and sensitivity. They place a lot of importance on empathy, social harmony, and cooperation. Yeah, I think that's quite fair. 57% prospecting versus 43% judging. Prospecting individuals are very good at improvising and adapting to opportunities. They tend to be flexible nonconformists who value novelty above stability. Oh, that's interesting. Moving on, 64% turbulent versus 36% assertive. Turbulent individuals are self-conscious and sensitive to stress. They feel a sense of urgency in their emotions and tend to be success-driven, perfectionistic, and eager to improve. Yeah, the perfectionistic trait is definitely one that rings true. And it's not to say that I'm perfect in anything I do, because I don't think I am. Actually, no, I know I'm not. But I do have that trait where, like, I want things to be better. I want things to be squeaky clean that I create, because I don't know. You just want it to make something good. I think that's something I'm going to talk about as well. Is like the need to make something good for whatever reason, whether it's for us or for other people. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll get to that. Oh no, that was it. Okay, that was it, and it's got my results. Oh no, it's got a full. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's got a full article. It's got a whole article. Introduction, strengths and weaknesses, romantic. Oh my gosh, romantic relationships, everything. Okay, I'm gonna hang on to this, and I'll come back to it another time. I was thinking maybe if we have a guest on, maybe if we had like my girlfriend on or something, we could talk about it, and that would be funny because I can get a second opinion of someone who like experiences me from the outside looking in, you know. But yeah, that was actually kind of fun. The questions were a bit long, but the thing it's come out with at the end, the analysis, seems to be decent. So thanks for listening to that. I know it took quite a while, but I think it was worth it. I quite enjoyed that, and you've learned a bit about me now. 24 years old in 2023. You know, will this change? Will I stay a mediator, INFPT, a diplomat, a constant improvementer, it says? Who knows? And only future me can answer that question. So there we go. That was fun. Now, this has been going on for a while now, and I don't want these to be too long. So I wanted to end it by talking about an idea that I actually had today, and I think it's a good idea to include. So the way I'm uploading this podcast and subsequent podcasts to Spotify allows me to include music if I want to. Now, this clashes with other streaming services like maybe YouTube, which I'm hoping to put it on, because I can't have copyrighted songs on there, which is totally fair, I understand. However, I thought it'd be a nice idea to end each episode by playing a song, kind of like a radio show, but it's, you know, there's just one song at the end. To begin with, could change. That kind of sums up the vibe of the episode, or like has some relation to the person who was talking, or, you know, if it was a guest, they could pick the song. I think that's an idea I'm going with. So what I'm planning to do, and I think it'll be fine, is I'll just say what song I'm going to play by the artist, and if you listen to this anywhere else, you can get the song up yourself and listen to it, and hopefully feel the meaning that I intended for it. Or if you're listening on Spotify, which I'm hoping Spotify is still around in my future life, then it'll just play. It should, hopefully, if it works, just play it in the episode. So this first song that I've picked is not necessarily too, interlinked with the story that this episode's told, because it hasn't. It's just been an introduction. So it's called 23 by Wallace, spelled Wallice. And it's a song I've liked for a while. I've listened to a bunch. And I thought it would be a great outro song for the first episode. So there we go. So I'm about to play the song. If you're not on Spotify, get the song up and play it in a second when I've said goodbye. But yeah, I'm hoping I stick to this. I enjoyed it, so hopefully I will. And thank you for listening. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.